BBC Hooniverse.
You're watching the TGM production.
So, when it comes to Audible, you have Big Finish on Audible. Now, I'm not too big of a fan of having Big Finish on Audible, because here's the reason why. The reason why I don't like having Audible, having Big Finish on Audible, is because I once read a review. Now, you know when you read a review, you sort of have to go off multiple reviews to get the perfect answer to the question. You can't just watch one review of a gadget and buy it because it might be terrible. You have to watch 3 to 4. Yes, and then you have to add the word UK to make sure you get in UK Pacific because the object might be different depending on what country you're residing in at that time. And 9 out of 10 times there'll be an American review you're watching because obviously it's an American platform, YouTube mainly. So what you have to look at is this, right? You have to look at whether or not the object is good. So with Doctor Who and with Big Finish, it's quite easy to sort of understand straight away that that the product isn't great in Audible, because when you look at how audio's managed, right? You sort of read the description, and there's a lot of experts out there that know a lot more about the audio world than like I do. So you have to sort of think to yourself, well, what is the correct audio file size? So it's not about the file size really. It's the first thing you sort of work out. It's not about the file size. And then you work out how do you go about finding out what it really is. So once you know it's not the file size, you're like, right, so this review here says there's something wrong with the Doctor Who audio. What is actually wrong with Doctor Who audio? Well, something called loss. I think it's lossless. I think that's the one where it's like there's something wrong with it. I could be wrong on that completely, and do correct me if I'm wrong. So I read this review that said the audio's not great. So I listened to it in my previous video. I talked about Apple Music, and I listened on there, and it sounds really good. But I'm not wearing it through headphones, so I don't know if there's a difference in its quality. Then when you read these reviews on Audible, yes, it's tempting to see that there's so many great audios, and if you've got a credit, then brilliant, you can get it and listen to it. But I always think, well, I'd rather buy the CD and listen to it. But the reason why I'm not saying that, I'm not like, I would never do that, because with Audible, if you get a credit a month, if you've got a subscription, or you have to buy the book, and I'd rather buy the CD. And with Apple Music and with Spotify's free, but Apple Music, if you've already got your Apple Music subscription, you're going to include it in. I always think there should be a subscription service style for Big Finish. A continue listening page would just be handed across all platforms, and all sort of things. But I think with Audible, what's interesting is, yes, there's a continue listening bit to it, so you do get that out of it, that's a positive. But they're probably right with the audio quality, because Big Finish probably, and I don't know this for definite, I think Big Finish probably play a game with different audios, like different types of audios, and I think there's like different ways that Big Finish actually operate with their stuff. And what I mean by that is that I think that when you listen to an audio from Big Finish, they produce it in such a way that the CD, their own digital download, is at the highest quality it can be, because they've used sort of systems that you or I probably don't know about, but it's like probably some sort of technological advanced operating piece of equipment, which I think at the end of the day is a good thing. If you've got like higher power, then you can create the best possible, and I think that's what Big Finish does. So, if you're listening to Dark Eyes, let's say Doctor Who Dark Eyes, for example, or you're listening to the new 11th Doctor range, starring Miles Taylor as the 11th Doctor, I think at that point, you sort of step back a bit, going, right, I love listening to this, but do I really want to listen to it on Audible? And what I would do, if you have the money, is I would listen to it on Audible, listen to it on Apple Music, listen to it on Spotify, and listen to it from its original source of the MP3, right? Because I don't think it's a WAV file, but it might be a WAV file, WAV. And then, with the headphones on, and then work out what it is, because I think that's what will make this more interesting, if you work out whether or not Audible is the best place for our Doctor Who Big Finish audios. So, would you want to listen to Dark Eyes 2 on CD, Big Finish MP3 or WAV download, Audible, Spotify or Apple Music? Where would you really want to listen to Dark Eyes 2? So it's one of those things where you have to do a lot of trial and doing a lot of error. So overall, I think the Big Finish on Audible, yes, there's probably a lot of benefits. But in my opinion, from the reviews I've read, I think we all should stay clear of it on Audible. Not because Big Finish are bad or anything, just because I've heard too many negative things about it. But you know what they say, it's another way of people cheaply purchasing Big Finish audios like Dark Eyes 2 or Dark Eyes 1 or any of the other audios that are available. Thank you guys for listening. Bye bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel.